we have a deputation. We have the Small Ownership Landowners Ontario, SOL. We have our presenters, Kevin Costain, Chair, and then we are Kevin Costain, Chair, and Rosemary, Vice Chair. So welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. Just hit the big purple button on the mic and it should power up and you'll be, no, we have to hit the, hang on. Council, check your power buttons on the side of your mics, make sure they're on.
So that's on, that's working. Hopefully you can hear me.
That was a little low.
A little closer to me. Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Kevin Costain. Of course, we represent Small Ownership Landlords of Ontario. We're about 8,000 strong, and we represent small landlords. Rose is here with me, the Vice Chair of our organization. We want to thank the town of Bradford, Ward 4 Councillor Joseph Giordano. Apologize for getting the name wrong. Thanks for inviting us, the entire City Council, for recognizing some of the struggles of small-scale housing providers. You know, with your motion 2579, we saw that and we appreciate that. We appreciate the efforts to try to bring fairness to the housing market. I just want to take a moment to talk about the motion. We want to point out that providing rentals is what landlords do. We want great tenants, and great tenants want safe and well-maintained homes. Justice for tenants does not take a backseat to justice for landlords. A healthy rental market for everyone provides the right housing for the right price and the right quantity. Everyone deserves access to justice when disputes arise. By making it easier to build additional dwelling units or basement suites, we can add more of the right kinds of rental stock people are looking for. For the most part, only small mom and pop rental operators are having their lives ruined by professional tenants. Large companies can kind of weather the storm, you know. One of them destroyed my only home, in fact. My professional tenant fraudulently applied for his rental, assaulted and terrorized me for more than a year, and ultimately destroyed my only home by setting it on fire. This 16-month eviction fight with the landlord and tenant board ended with possession of my home in an absurd 8 months after the fire destroyed it. 8 months. When I needed basic and timely justice, there was none. The insurance rebuilt my home. I was out of pocket even $40,000 on top of that. Oh, and I wrote a book about it. Anybody want to? By all means. I appreciate it if you want to check it out. So we could go to the next slide. One of the things, well, that's a slide I should have brought up immediately. You see the fire damage, and I was actually on CBC The National. They did a report on that, so it got some widespread attention, which was really nice. We can go to the next slide. Now, if we talk about non-payment, my tenant didn't pay to the tune of $26,000. L1s at the LTB are roughly about 51% on average. They kind of go up to 60% sometimes, but they represent the vast majority of LTB cases and files. We always try to point out that reducing these applications would quickly make the LTB much more efficient. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Now, I asked my friends at Open Room. We're really close with Open Room, openroom.ca. They're a clearinghouse of LTB orders. They did a search for the postal codes in Bradford, and what they found was almost $1 million in unpaid rent. That's just what's been uploaded by landlords, okay, in the last 4 years. So this amounts to $1 million that can't be taxed. It can't be, you know, this is theft for the most part, theft of rental properties. So of course we recognize that this is a local problem. Even for Bradford, it's a serious and local problem. Now we go to the next slide. So for Solo, what we've done is we've asked the Attorney General, the Ministry of the Attorney General. We met with Brian Saunderson over there, and we met with others at the province to try to recommend some changes. Ask them for reforms. You know, some of the changes we really want to try to get across is just that, you know, we could expedite non-payment eviction cases. We might call them written hearings, administrative hearings, to resolve these extreme backlogs try to resolve these, non-payment cases quickly. So we've requested that. We'd asked for them to classify small landlords, small mom and pop landlords, differently from the large landlords. And so you put them on a different track, different adjudicators. Those folks can get the help they need. Some of them are even immigrants. They don't handle the applications very easily. So we've asked for that as a representation. Allow minor amendments to notices and applications. The provincial government has actually put forward a bill, and I think the bill actually even passed. But we're not even sure that the LTB is going to implement those changes. And we would ask the LTB just simply to, okay, allow minor changes. I had one of my non-payment of rent applications thrown out because I transposed just 2 numbers from 571 to 517, and they threw it out. And I had to go all the way back to the beginning. So just that, there are a number of other suggestions we can expand on. And if implemented, it would make the process of resolving disputes more efficient. And this is a win for tenants too, where, even in an ombudsman's investigation, he found one tenant application had been stalled at the LTB for 6 years. Imagine waiting 6 years for anything, for a hearing. None of this should be tolerated in a reasonably healthy rental market. None of it. So just in closing, I want to thank everyone for having me here to speak. And as Kathy Laird, a member of Tribunal Watch Ontario, says in the book Against the People, small landlords have historically contributed a disproportionate number of affordable units in the rental market. It needs to be said that small landlords are going to be a part of the solution to this big problem, and we want to help. We want to be there and be part of this. So just I'll leave it at that. I thank you guys for your attention, yeah. If you have any questions, by all means, happy to answer.
So thank you very much for that presentation. We appreciate that, and that was a staggering number you brought up, 771. That's a very large number for a small community like ours. So that's impacted a lot of residents, and I think it was Councillor Giordano brought it forward from a resident in his ward that was abused by a tenant, which was tough for us to deal with. So we thank him for bringing that forward. So I've got Councillor Verdini for a quick question, and Councillor Giordano right after.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming tonight and for your presentation and for what you're doing as a group. One of the biggest issues is because of the way that the rules are set out right now, and because of how backlogged the LTB was for such a long time, the landlords are having such a problem, and we're in a situation where the Premier is saying that we need some other housing options. People who have these, we're even talking about ADUs within a property, to be able to have 3 units within one property so that you can offer different housing options. The issue is because of situations like this and how much they're occurring now, nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it anymore. To be a landlord today is not an easy thing to do. It's a scary thing to do. I'm in real estate, so I see it from people. They don't even want to look at rental properties anymore. They're just not interested. There's people who try to offload rental properties, and I've had to deal with tenants like this within my career. And currently, I'm actually in the situation. So we have a rental property that we had sold, and we had it listed since last August, and we had sold it, and it was supposed to close last month. Tenant decided that they didn't want to move out. So now the people who were supposed to take over this property can't, because it was for vacant possession and they need it for their family. I went through the whole process, did everything I was supposed to do, followed all the rules that I was supposed to do, and I'm always on hold. Luckily, I had requested for a shortened time frame through the LTB, and I actually have a hearing next week. Good. So I'm hoping that this all comes together pretty quickly, because right now, the amount of undue stress and financial strain that it's putting on my family, we can't afford to do this. We did it as just something that at the time would have been a great idea to help potentially do something for our kids, and at the end of the day we decided, okay, well, now's the time to sell. And then we find ourselves stuck in this situation. So I can't imagine people that have to live it out for 6 years or anything, even another year. I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's frustrating, and I want to just say that I appreciate what you guys are doing, because something needs to change.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Councillor Giordano.
So yeah, again,
Call Solo, by the way. We'll get you our number.
yeah.
We'll
So
help you
when you first reached out to me, I didn't know. I mentioned to you earlier. I thought it was alone, and then we had the council that stepped up, and we put this motion forward, and I was shocked at the amount of people that were reaching out to me from across Ontario. I was getting people from all over Toronto, this and that, and then when we started speaking, I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole organization that's helping this. You know, it's not a fight that I personally had to deal with. My neighbors and my friends and people all through Bradford have been reaching out, and it's one of those things where I'm going to use my platform here to try to do something for the people. And the more I hear about this situation, the more I think of my grandparents. They've been renting their basement to supplement their income since they retired, I don't know, 35, 40 years ago. Like, God bless them, they've been lucky. But at the same time, if something like that were to happen to them, and we had a lady that actually came up, not for my word, but I invited her to come here, and she shared her story, and she was in the paper and everything else. And you know, she's living through absolute turmoil. You know, she's a retired, you know, woman with, and she needs the revenue, and her life is turned upside down. Why? Because people know that they can get away with it, and they're getting away with it significantly, time and time again. Like you said, professional renters and professional renovators, and it's not. There's so many good people that want to offer up inventory, and they're just saying, forget it, and that's a problem. I don't want to just have subdivision after subdivision, density after density for the sake of trying to fix a problem that could easily be addressed as well with our housing numbers if people actually felt confident knowing that if they put something on the market for a rental property, they're not going to lose their home, they're not going to have their home damaged, and they're not going to be out the money out of their own pocket. So I've committed to you guys to continue pushing on all channels. I know that the province has been made aware of this. I know that our MPP office says yes, they've received and they understand the motion, and there's work happening. But I'll keep pushing, and I'm going to ask all my colleagues and to everybody in this room here and listening online to please do your part as well. Write to your council members, write to your MPP, and ask them for this change. It needs to happen. It's not fair for people to lose, and a lot of the times these homes are their only security that they have, financial security, and you take that away from them. It's just not right. And so thank you for what you're doing. I assume it's all, I think it was all volunteer based.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
and you know, you guys are
100%.
doing amazing work, and I've been following you ever since, and it's fantastic. And let's keep connected. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Councillor Giordano. Councillor Dykey, and then I've got Councillor Harper next.
I'm glad to see that there's an association or a group that is working on this, because I too fell into a trap as a landlord and decided that you couldn't keep on putting more water in the sinking boat, because at the end of the day it's very difficult dealing with tenants and the rights. I look to our south, I look to our neighbors in Florida and in the States. It seems like they have a different system, and if you don't pay your rent in Florida, you're put in a book or in a log, and then it's harder for you to rent in the future if you cause a landlord a problem. So I would hope that the province or the feds would step up and try and overall improve our system, because there is a lot of good people that would like to buy more homes and rent and change or balance their portfolio when it comes to investing. But the bottom line is, it's not easy, but I'm glad to see there's a group of you guys that continue to work on this, because we need this. It's very important. There's good and bad, but you have to do a balance. I could write a book like yours as well, because it's.
We need more books like this.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because it wasn't. I could write a book twice as much as that, but the bottom line is not easy, and
I'm sorry to hear that, though.
Yeah. I hope you guys can continue and have the drive to help all the landlords out there and the residents, because it's a balance. But thank you for coming and speaking tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Dykey. Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for coming to present your business and organization here. 2 years ago, council, a resident reached out to me and was having problems. They were pretty much close to yours, where they didn't set fire to it, but they actually put the pipes on and let the water run, caused water damage to the basement.
Yes.
They changed the locks, and they were unable to access it. Police couldn't even enter, nothing. The mayor and I both tried to reach out and try to do it, and fortunately, our hands were tied to LTB, and that's all the resources that we had. Knowing now that there's a reach out that we can actually help out and maybe help other residents that have this. Fortunately, we were able to help this lady out. A resident has, the owner, and being a landowner here in Bradford myself, like, she's able to actually get the situation solved, but it took 8 months later. And it was multiple calls, multiple times. I went to the house, I did everything possible we could. Still, like, our hands were tied, her hands were tied, and she didn't want to do anything like illegal, but the frustration. And I mean, this is just an elderly woman who owns a house and, was just trying to help make means. She had, a daughter that had disabilities and stuff. So literally, I was perplexed at what could I do to help the situation out. And, time and time again, I guess persistency paid off, and they finally moved out or got out of there. And finally, she got some relief. But that's just a lucky story. I know there's so many more that haven't had any. You've been through a lot of hardships as well. I mean, I have a place where I could rent a unit as well, but everyone questions or queries, do you really want to do that?
I guarantee you won't do that if you read this.
No, like, I'm like him and ah, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I hear you.
But I think it's time to balance the scales and put it back in place. That neutrality for both sides, to actually be respectful to each other instead of abusing the process that it has been so forwardly towards more tenants than the actual owners of the houses. Needs to actually be put back in place. So thank you very much for coming today, and I'll be reaching out as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Sandu, and then we'll close it off. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you to both of you for making the presentation. It is a sad truth that this is happening, and it's also a sad truth that the opposite happens at sometimes, where you have bad landlords where tenants are stuck. Either way, the situation is not good, and more needs to be done at the LTV level, and those files need to move faster. You're right. What I did not hear was how solo, if someone wants to reach out, they're in a similar situation that you were. Now you're the guidance or help for people like yourself that was in such situation. How is it that you help them? And if you are, is there any finances involved that they have to pay to get this help, or how does it work?
Okay, so we do what we do for free. We don't charge any money to anybody that comes to us, and that's absolutely free. And what we do to help is anything we can. That's really the answer. So we'll counsel them. We'll listen to them. They call and they're crying. They're in utter ruination. They're losing their homes. Everything you can imagine is happening in the worst of the ways. And just like you guys, our hands are tied. But the little different is that many of us have gone through it. I've gone through it. So I know what would have helped me more while I was going through that. And honestly, we can really do nothing to change the balance of how things are today. So often we're just listening to them crying, or we're going to help, or helping them protect themselves, or helping find a balance. But we have no control over the balance of intervention. And this is the thing that has to change now, right away. When there are bad actors, whether landlord or tenant, there has to be a balance of intervention and a speed of intervention to solve the problem. Not 6 months later, 3 months later, or 8 months later, or even 6 years later. We have to find that balance, and we have to act on it right away if we're going to want to try to have a healthy housing market. So we do it anyway. The answer is we do everything we can. Everything we can. We counsel them, we educate them, we spend time, we go to the properties, we try to, we can't offer legal advice, but we try to offer our experiences, and really just every resource we can give to them, we do that.
Thank you. Actually, that's priceless that you're listening to them, because someone is there to listen and guide them, because sometimes what you might tell them based on your experience would help them, which is a good thing, and I think you guys are doing a
We
very
try,
good thing,
we
and
try our
thank you
best,
for
you know
doing
what I
that.
mean? That's all it's, Rose has, Rose,
Actually, I'd like to add just
Go.
a little bit to that. So we have teams that are available to assist if someone calls. We have a live line that someone can call. You can come through solo.ca. We've got lots of educational tools, tips to do. Another thing that we do is we will coach them to, assess their situation, and we'll say, okay, you're at this spot now. We recommend that you get a paralegal or, whatever there else. There's just lots of things. It's case by case basis because everybody's situation is different. Every day, we've been doing this for 5 years. Every day we learn something new. We can't believe it. We say, oh my goodness, another new, different situation with a twist has come. But I'm very excited to say that along the LTB process, we've also discovered that we can file Provincial Offences Act charges. We have had non-paying tenants, repeat squatters, offending squatters. We've been able to go to court. Some of them have been arrested. We have a lot of different tools available to us that we can help the landlord. But you know how many times people have phoned, speak to us on the telephone, and they'll say to us, I thought I was alone. I can't believe, I'm so traumatized. We've had men cry on the phone with us because they're losing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. They're responsible now for paying for the person who's living in their property, not paying, plus they have to run their own household. So it's a lot of emotions, but we've got teams that are helping with people who are going through bankruptcy right now. Actually, it's kind of exciting in some cases, what the opportunities that we're able to help. Oh, am I too gleeful? Sorry. Sorry, but you were saying, how do we help? Yeah, we've got the hotline. We talk to people, help them to be untraumatized, just walk with them through the fire. Sometimes it's been a 2-year fire, but we're able to do a lot. So please contact us at solo.ca. That's our website. And anybody who, needs assistance, or if you know people.
So the information is on there, how to get a hold of you through solo.ca?
Yes.
Perfect. We'll definitely, we're going to promote that. We'll put that out there through our socials. We'll actually provide that information to our residents just in case somebody needs some.
yes, the phone number's on the website. So
Perfect. That's
Thank you, Rose.
exactly what we want to see. So I want to thank you both for this very informative information. We appreciate you very much coming here, and thank you to council for supporting this resolution. We will continue to fight for the fair rights of both the tenant and landlord. And there is horror stories out there. We've had a lady here already that showed us the cost of this. So that was what prompted council to make that resolution. So through Councillor Giordano's support. So
thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that.
All right.